The great hall of the Empire buzzed with excitement. Thousands of alien creatures filled the massive space, their voices creating a symphony of victory. Admiral Al stood at the center stage, his blue skin gleaming under the bright lights, his four arms spread wide as he addressed the crowd. "Today marks 3 years since we silenced the last human voice in the galaxy," Al announced. His words echoed through the hall, met with cheers and roars from the assembled aliens. The pest that called itself humanity is no more. In the front rows sat the leaders of the other 3 species that had joined the war against humans. General K of the warrior race nodded his massive head in approval. His red eyes burned with satisfaction as he remembered the battles they had won. There were proud warriors who loved nothing more than a good fight, and crushing the humans had been their greatest victory. Beside him, the representative sage closed her large purple eyes and smiled. They were known for their powerful minds that could read thoughts and see the future. Had used her abilities to help locate human settlements and predict their military moves. She felt proud that her people had contributed to ending what they saw as a dangerous threat. The 4th member of the alliance was Queen of the. Her insect-like body clicked and buzzed as she communicated with her hive mind. They were like giant ants that worked together as one massive brain. They had used their endless swarms to overwhelm human defenses on dozens of worlds. "The humans thought they were special," Al continued. "They believed their small planet could stand against the combined might of 4 great civilizations. How wrong they were." The crowd erupted in laughter and applause. Many of the aliens had never seen a human in person, but they had heard stories about these strange creatures that walked on 2 legs and had no special powers. Unlike the with their advanced technology, or they with their incredible strength, humans seemed ordinary. They had no psychic abilities like the, and they could not work together like the perfect unity of the hives. 3 years ago, the 4 species had decided that humans were becoming too dangerous. The small creatures were spreading across the galaxy, building colonies and making trade agreements with other races. Some aliens worried that humans would eventually become a threat to the established order. So the 4 powers had formed an alliance to stop them before they grew too strong. The war had been swift and brutal. The alien coalition had attacked 12 human star systems at the same time. Their combined fleets vastly outnumbered anything the humans could put in space. Within 6 months, every major human world had fallen. Earth itself, the human, had been bombarded until nothing remained but burning ruins. "We gave them a chance to surrender," General K growled as he took the stage. "But humans are too stubborn for their own good. They fought to the bitter end, even when they knew they could not win." The general was not entirely wrong. Humans had indeed fought with desperate courage as their worlds fell one by one. They had used every trick they could think of, from guerrilla warfare to kamikaze attacks. Some human ships had even rammed themselves into alien vessels rather than surrender. But in the end, numbers had won. For every alien ship the humans destroyed, 10 more took its place. For every alien soldier that fell, 100 more stood ready to fight. The humans had been brave, but bravery alone could not overcome such overwhelming odds. The last major human fleet had made its final stand near the ruins of Earth. Commander Jake had led the remaining ships in a desperate battle against impossible odds. His small fleet of survivors had managed to escape into deep space, but everyone assumed they would die soon enough without supplies or a base of operations. "The few ships that escaped carried maybe 1,000 humans at most," Sage said when she spoke to the assembly. "Even if they survived the journey into unknown space, they cannot rebuild their civilization from so few people. The human threat is ended forever." The celebration continued for hours. The 4 species had already begun dividing up the territories that humans once controlled. They claimed the inner systems with their rich mineral deposits and advanced orbital stations. They took control of the strategic military outposts that could serve as bases for future conquests. The established meditation centers on the peaceful garden worlds, while they began building new hives on planets suitable for their reproduction. Trade routes that had been disrupted by the war reopened. Merchants from dozens of species began traveling safely through space again, no longer worried about human pirates or military patrols. The galaxy seemed to have returned to a natural order where the four great powers maintained peace through strength. On the edge of space, Lieutenant Orr sat in his monitoring station, watching the long-range sensors for any signs of trouble. It was boring work, but someone had to keep watch for pirates or other threats. The lieutenant was young and eager to prove himself, but this assignment felt like punishment rather than opportunity. For the past few weeks, his instruments had been picking up strange energy readings from the unexplored regions beyond the galactic rim. The signals were faint and irregular, nothing like the clear signatures of known starships or space stations. Or had reported them to his superiors, but they told him not to worry about cosmic background radiation and other natural phenomena. Probably just old pulsars or solar flares, his commanding officer had said with a dismissive wave. Focus on real threats, not sensor ghosts. But the readings were becoming stronger and more frequent. Sometimes Orr thought he could detect patterns in the signals, as if someone was trying to communicate using an unknown language or code. He made detailed reports of everything he observed, but his superiors seemed more interested in celebrating their victory than investigating mysterious signals from empty space. Far beyond the lieutenant's sensors, in the cold darkness between the stars, something waited and watched. The celebration would not last forever, and when it ended, the galaxy would learn a terrible truth about what happens when you think you have defeated humanity. Commander Jake stood in the observation deck of the ancient station, looking out at the vast darkness of space. 3 years had passed since they escaped Earth's destruction, and the small fleet of human survivors had found something incredible in the empty void between galaxies. The station was enormous, bigger than any human city had ever been. It floated in the darkness like a sleeping giant, its metal surfaces covered with strange symbols that glowed with soft blue light. When they first discovered it, Dr. Lisa had been amazed by its technology. The station was built by aliens who had died millions of years ago, but their machines still worked perfectly. "Jake, you need to see this," Doctor called from her laboratory. She had been working day and night to understand the alien technology, and her latest discovery would change everything. Walked through the station's corridors, passing human workers who were busy learning to use the alien machines. Captain Brooks had organized the survivors into teams. Some worked on repairing their damaged ships, while others learned to operate the station's incredible manufacturing systems. The humans had arrived here with almost nothing. Their ships were damaged, their supplies were running low, and many people had been wounded in the final battle at Earth. But the ancient station had everything they needed to survive and grow strong again. "Look at this," Doctor said, pointing to a holographic display that showed complex diagrams. The aliens who built this place were incredibly advanced. Their weapons could destroy entire planets, and their ships could travel faster than anything we've ever seen. She touched a control panel, and the display changed to show the station's manufacturing capabilities. But here's the amazing part. All of their technology is designed to adapt and combine with other systems. It's like they knew that someday, other species would find this place and need to use their knowledge. Studied the diagrams carefully. He had been a military commander before the war, but now he was learning to think like a scientist and engineer. The survival of the human race depended on understanding these alien machines. "Can we build ships with this technology?" he asked. "Better than that," Doctor replied with excitement. "We can build ships that combine their technology with our own ideas. The result will be something completely new, more powerful than anything the galaxy has ever seen." In another part of the station, Captain Brooks was training the next generation of human soldiers. The survivors included many military personnel, but they needed to learn new ways of fighting. The war against the alien coalition would be different from any conflict humans had ever faced. "Forget everything you know about fair play and honorable combat," Brooks told his trainees. "The aliens destroyed our world and killed billions of our people. When we return, we will use every advantage we can get." The training sessions were intense and brutal. Brooks pushed the human soldiers to their limits, teaching them guerrilla warfare tactics and advanced combat techniques. They learned to fight in zero gravity, to use alien weapons, and to strike fast before disappearing into the darkness. Engineer Martinez worked in the station's drive section, where he was developing new propulsion systems. The ancient aliens had discovered ways to move through space without being detected by normal sensors. Martinez combined their stealth technology with human engineering to create something revolutionary. "These new engines don't just make us invisible," he explained during one of their planning meetings. "They let us appear anywhere in the galaxy without warning. We can strike a target and be gone before anyone knows we were there." Dr. Kate Turner had set up a medical facility where she worked on improving human capabilities. The alien technology included advanced biological systems that could enhance human strength, speed, and endurance. She was careful to test everything thoroughly, but the results were impressive. "The enhancements are permanent but safe," she reported. "A soldier with these modifications can lift twice as much weight, run twice as fast, and react 3 times quicker than a normal human. They can also survive in environments that would kill an unmodified person." While the scientists and engineers worked on technology, Lieutenant Foster focused on intelligence gathering. She had managed to tap into alien communication networks using the station's advanced computer systems. The information she collected was invaluable for planning their return. "The alien coalition is already falling apart," she reported during one of their weekly meetings. "They are arguing about territory rights. They are becoming isolated because the other species don't trust their psychic abilities. They are expanding too fast and creating resource shortages." Foster had also discovered something important about how the aliens thought. They believe they won the war through superior firepower and numbers. They think humans are weak because we lost the first time. They have no idea what we're really capable of when we put our minds to something. The station's manufacturing systems worked constantly, building new ships and weapons. The human fleet grew larger every month, but they kept their ships hidden in the dark space between stars. The aliens would never think to look for them in such an empty and lifeless region. Often walked through the station at night, watching his people work. They had lost their and most of their population, but they had not lost their spirit. If anything, the defeat had made them stronger and more determined than ever. The survivors included some of humanity's best and minds. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, and leaders who had escaped Earth's destruction were now working together with a single purpose. They would return to the galaxy, and when they did, the aliens would learn what it truly meant to face human determination. "How much longer do you think we need?" Doctor asked during one of their planning sessions. Looked at the reports from all departments. Ship construction was ahead of schedule. Weapons testing was showing excellent results. The soldiers were trained and ready for combat. Most importantly, the aliens had grown complacent and lazy during their 3 years of peace. "Soon," he replied. "Very soon, the galaxy will discover that humanity is not as easy to kill as they thought." Captain Brooks crouched behind a metal crate, watching the workers move around the mining facility. The insect-like aliens clicked and buzzed as they communicated with their hive mind, completely unaware that death was watching them from the shadows. Brooks had chosen this target carefully. The mining station was far from any major colony, operated by only a few hundred workers. More importantly, it produced rare metals that the other alien species needed for their technology. When it disappeared, The coalition would have questions that could not be easily answered. "Team Alpha in position," whispered Sergeant Amy Clark through the comm system. Her voice was calm and professional, but Brooks could hear the excitement underneath. This was their first real mission since Earth's destruction, and everyone wanted to prove that humans were still dangerous. "Team Beta ready," reported Corporal Dan Price from the other side of the facility. His team had disabled the station's communication systems 30 minutes ago. The workers had no way to call for help, but they did not know it yet. Brooks checked his weapon one more time. The rifle used alien technology combined with human engineering, just like everything else they carried. It could fire energy bolts that would punch through armor like it was made of paper. More importantly, it would leave burn marks that looked exactly like weapons. "Remember the plan," Brooks said quietly. "We use energy signatures for everything. When they find this place, they need to think the warrior race attacked them. No human technology, no human weapons, no evidence we were ever here." The assault began with precision timing. Brooks and his team struck the main processing center, while the other teams hit the power station and vehicle bay. The enhanced human soldiers moved faster than they could react, their improved reflexes and strength making them deadly opponents. The first worker never saw what killed him. Clark's rifle bolt took off his head before he could send a warning to the hive mind. The other insects began clicking in alarm, but their communications were already cut off from the outside world. "Contact front," Price reported as his team encountered a group of guards. The aliens had weapons, but they were designed for fighting other or dealing with industrial accidents. Against human soldiers using advanced alien technology, they had no chance. The battle was over in less than 20 minutes. Everyone on the station was dead, their bodies scattered throughout the facility. Brooks walked through the wreckage, making sure his teams had followed orders perfectly. "Good work," he said, examining the energy burns on the walls. "Looks exactly like plasma weapons. They will think their old allies betrayed them." Dr. Lisa had provided them with detailed information about how each alien species made war. They were brutal and direct, preferring to overwhelm their enemies with raw firepower. When they investigated this attack, they would see the pattern of destruction that matched tactics perfectly. But Brooks was not finished yet. He activated a small device that Doctor had designed specially for this mission. The device would plant false evidence in the station's computer systems, making it look like ships had been detected in the area days before the attack. "Plant the extras and let's move out," he ordered. His soldiers scattered fake equipment around the facility, including pieces of armor and weapon components that would survive any investigation. The human strike team returned to their stealth ship and departed without leaving any trace of their presence. Engineer Martinez's invisibility systems worked perfectly, hiding them from sensors as they slipped away into deep space. 3 days later, a patrol discovered the destroyed mining station. The hive mind's reaction was immediate and furious. Queena herself examined the evidence, her compound eyes studying every detail of the attack. "Weapons," she buzzed angrily to her advisors. "Tactics. The warriors have betrayed our alliance and attacked our people." The fake computer records showed ships in the area, exactly as Brooks had planned. The planted equipment looked authentic because it was authentic, taken from soldiers during the war against humanity 3 years ago. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, Commander Jake was preparing his own mission. While Brooks created suspicion between thee and would target thee and make them suspicious of the research facility orbited a gas giant in one of their core systems. It was heavily defended, but had advantages that the aliens could not imagine. His ship used technology from the ancient station, making it invisible to sensors. Intelligence reports show they're working on new psychic detection systems, Lieutenant Foster briefed him before the mission. "They want to make sure they can't spy on them anymore. Perfect target for what we need." His team included some of the best human soldiers, all enhanced with Dr. Kate Turner's biological improvements. They moved through the research station like ghosts, avoiding security systems and eliminating guards without raising alarms. The real prize was in the central laboratory, where scientists were studying psychic abilities. His team stole all the research data, but they also planted false information suggesting that they were planning to betray their allies. Make it look like they have been reading minds without permission, ordered as his technical expert worked on the computer systems. Show them planning to steal technology and use it against the other species. The false data was incredibly detailed, created by Doctor using real psychic patterns that Foster had captured from intercepted communications. When they found it, they would have no reason to doubt its authenticity. The mission was a complete success. His team escaped with valuable intelligence about alien fleet positions and defense strategies, while leaving behind evidence that would destroy trust between the end. Back on the ancient station, the human leaders watched as their plan began to work. Foster's intelligence networks reported growing suspicion between the alien species. They were pulling forces back from shared territories to defend against possible attacks. They were restricting access to sensitive facilities. "It's working better than we hoped," Doctor reported with satisfaction. "The coalition is starting to fracture. They're so busy suspecting each other that they have no idea we're the real threat." Smiled as he looked at the strategic displays. The aliens had made a critical mistake when they thought they had destroyed humanity. They had underestimated the human capacity for patience, planning, and revenge. "Phase 1 is complete," he announced to his staff. "Time to move to Phase 2. Let's show them what real warfare looks like." Admiral Al was reviewing reports of the strange attacks when every screen in his command center suddenly went black. The leader looked around in confusion as his technicians tried desperately to restore their systems. Then, without warning, a human face appeared on every display throughout the Empire. Commander Jake looked directly at Al through the screen, his eyes cold and determined. Behind him, the bridge of his flagship was visible, filled with advanced technology that made equipment look primitive by comparison. "Hello, Admiral," said calmly. "I believe you thought we were dead." Panic erupted in the command center as officers realized what they were seeing. The human commander who had escaped Earth's destruction 3 years ago was not only alive, but he had somehow penetrated their most secure communication networks. "Impossible," Al whispered, his 4 arms trembling. "We destroyed your species. We watched your worlds burn." Smiled without warmth. "You destroyed our homes, you killed our families, but you made one critical mistake. You assumed that would make us weaker." Across the galaxy, the same broadcast was appearing on screens in military bases, meditation centers, and hive colonies. Every member of the coalition that had destroyed humanity was now seeing proof that their victory had been an illusion. "For 3 years we have been watching you," continued, "learning from you, growing stronger while you celebrated what you thought was our extinction." Dr. Lisa stepped into view beside her hands dancing over a control panel. "Your communication systems are now under our control," she announced. "Your navigation networks are ours. Your defense grids answer to us." As if to prove her point, defensive satellites around major worlds suddenly shut down. Military bases found their weapon systems locked out. Starships discovered they could not access their own navigation computers. General K of the smashed his fist through a wall when he saw the broadcast on his flagship. "How is this possible?" he roared at his officers. "Our sensors show nothing. Where are they hiding?" Captain Brooks appeared on screen to answer that question. Behind him, dozens of human warships became visible as they dropped their stealth systems. The vessels were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, combining ancient alien technology with human innovation. "We've been here all along," Brooks said, "watching your fleets, studying your weaknesses, planning your destruction. The ships that revealed themselves were just the beginning. Across the galaxy, human fleets materialized near every major alien stronghold. The stealth technology that Engineer Martinez had perfected made it possible for entire armadas to hide in plain sight. Sage of the clutched her head in pain as she tried to use her psychic abilities to understand what was happening. But every time she reached out with her mind, she encountered barriers that she could not penetrate. "Your telepaths are useless against us now," Lieutenant Foster explained as she appeared on the broadcast. "We know how your minds work. We have defenses you cannot imagine." The truth was even worse than feared. Foster had spent 3 years studying captured technology, learning to block psychic abilities, and even turn them against their users. The humans had found ways to make this greatest strength into a crippling weakness. Queen A's hive mind buzzed with confusion and terror as she realized the scope of humanity's deception. The humans had not just survived, they had thrived. The attacks on mining stations and research facilities had not been the work of betraying allies. They had been human operations designed to destroy the coalition from within. "You fell for every trick we played," said, addressing all 4 species at once. "We made you suspicious of each other. We made you weak. We made you exactly what we needed you to be." The revelation shattered the alien coalition instantly. General K, enraged by the deception, declared that his allies were incompetent fools who could not be trusted. He ordered fleets to withdraw from all shared operations and prepare for independent action. Sage, humiliated by her failure to detect the human threat, led them into isolation. They closed their borders and refused all communication with the other species, focusing on understanding how they had been so thoroughly deceived. Queen A reacted with typical aggression, launching immediate attacks against anyone she perceived as a threat. This included her former allies, as the hive mind decided that the coalition had become a danger to survival. Admiral Al tried desperately to maintain unity, but his authority crumbled as panic spread through the empire. His people had believed in their technological superiority, but the humans had demonstrated capabilities that made their most advanced systems look like children's toys. Foster's sleeper agents, who had been infiltrating alien societies for months, chose this moment to strike. Across coalition space, critical infrastructure began failing. Power plants exploded, communication relays went dark, and supply convoys disappeared without a trace. The computer virus that Martinez had designed spread through alien networks like wildfire. Navigation systems failed, stranding fleets in deep space. Trade routes collapsed as automated systems shut down. The carefully maintained order of galactic civilization began to crumble. Dr. Kate Turner's biological weapons appeared simultaneously on dozens of worlds, targeting the specific physiologies of each alien species. The diseases did not kill immediately, but they spread rapidly and caused debilitating weakness that made organized resistance impossible. "You wanted to exterminate us," said as his broadcast neared its end. "You believed that might made right. You thought superior numbers guaranteed victory. Today you learn what happens when you underestimate human determination." The human fleet continued to grow as more ships dropped their stealth systems. The aliens realized that humanity had not just survived their attack, they had used the time to build a military force more powerful than anything the galaxy had ever seen. His final words were delivered with quiet intensity that somehow seemed more threatening than any scream of rage. "You have 48 hours to surrender all former human territories and submit to our authority. Refuse, and you will discover what true warfare looks like when humans stop playing by the rules." The broadcast ended, leaving the alien coalition in chaos. Their alliance was broken, their technology compromised, and their confidence shattered. They had awakened something that they were not prepared to face, and now they would pay the price for their arrogance. The 48-hour deadline passed without a single surrender. Admiral Al had tried to rally the coalition, but fear and suspicion had torn their alliance apart. Each species now stood alone against humanity's wrath, and they would learn the terrible cost of their refusal. Commander Jake stood on the bridge of his flagship as massive human fleets moved into position around every major alien world. The time for mercy had ended 3 years ago when Earth burned. Now there would be only justice delivered with overwhelming force. "All units report ready," Captain Brooks announced from his command ship. Around him, the largest military force in galactic history prepared to unleash destruction on a scale that would reshape the known universe. The first target was where General K had gathered his strongest warriors for a final desperate battle. The proud warrior race had never lost a major conflict, but they had never faced enhanced humans using alien technology designed by species millions of years more advanced. Brooks led the assault personally, his enhanced soldiers moving through defenses like death itself. The aliens who had once seemed invincible found themselves outmatched in every way that mattered. Human soldiers were faster, stronger, and smarter than their enemies had ever imagined possible. "Impossible," Kay gasped as he watched his elite guards fall to human weapons. "We are the greatest warriors in the galaxy." "You were," Brooks replied coldly as he stood over the defeated general. "But humans fight differently when our families are dead and our homes are ash." The battle lasted only 6 hours. When it ended, the warrior culture that had dominated that region of space for thousands of years was broken forever. Their military traditions meant nothing when faced with opponents who fought without honor, mercy, or restraint. Meanwhile, Dr. Lisa directed the assault on technological centers. The aliens who had been so proud of their advanced science watched helplessly as humans dismantled their greatest achievements with casual ease. "Your technology is primitive compared to what we found," told Admiral Al as human soldiers captured his research facilities. "You spent centuries developing systems that we mastered in months." The empire had been built on the foundation of technological superiority. When that foundation crumbled, everything else collapsed with it. Their trade networks failed, their colonies rebelled, and their government fractured into dozens of competing factions. They faced a different kind of warfare that targeted their greatest strength. Lieutenant Foster had spent years learning to turn psychic abilities against their users, and now she unleashed psychological weapons that drove entire populations to madness. Sage screamed as images of Earth's destruction played endlessly in her mind. Foster's technology forced everyone to experience the pain and terror that humans had felt when their world died. The telepathic species found themselves drowning in emotions too powerful for their minds to handle. "You wanted to read our thoughts," Foster said as she watched the leader collapse. "Now you can experience our memories, feel what it was like to watch billions of our people burn." The psychic network, once their greatest advantage, became a weapon of mass destruction against them. The shared consciousness that had made them powerful now spread suffering and madness to every member of their species simultaneously. Queen and her hives faced biological warfare designed specifically to destroy their collective mind. Dr. Kate Turner had created viruses that did not kill the insect-like aliens, but severed their connection to the hive consciousness. Billions of workers suddenly found themselves alone in their own minds for the first time in their species' history. Without the hive to guide them, they became confused and helpless, unable to function as individuals. "Your unity was your weakness," Turner explained as she watched entire hive cities collapse into chaos. "When we broke that connection, we broke your entire civilization." But the humans were not finished with demonstrations of their new power. Engineer Martinez activated weapons systems built into the ancient alien station. technology so advanced that it could reshape reality itself on a planetary scale. Worlds that had served as coalition strongholds found their orbits changed, moving them away from their suns into the cold darkness of space. Planets with perfect atmospheres had their air composition altered, making them uninhabitable for their original populations. This is what happens when you try to exterminate a species that refuses to die, announced as star systems were rearranged according to human will. You created an enemy that surpasses your worst nightmares. The war lasted exactly 6 months, the same amount of time it had taken the coalition to destroy human civilization. But where the aliens had needed superior numbers and combined fleets, humanity accomplished their victory through technological supremacy and tactical brilliance. When the fighting ended, the surviving alien leaders were brought before in chains. Admiral Al, General K, Sage, and Queen knelt before the human commander who now held absolute power over the galaxy. "You will live," told them, "but you will serve as a reminder of what happens when someone tries to destroy the human spirit. Your people will have homes on worlds we choose for you. You will follow laws we write for you. You will remember this lesson for all time." The galaxy was transformed under human rule. Earth was rebuilt as a monument to human resilience, its cities rising from the ashes more beautiful than ever before. The ancient alien station became the capital of the human galactic empire, a symbol of how humanity had turned their greatest defeat into their ultimate triumph. Children from all species learned human history in schools throughout the empire. They studied the war that had seemed to end with humanity's extinction, only to conclude with human dominance over the known universe. Often stood in his office on the rebuilt Earth, looking out at the stars that now belonged to humanity. The boy who had once dreamed of exploring the galaxy had become the man who conquered it. "We try to be peaceful," he said to Doctor as they watched human ships patrol the space lanes. "We offered friendship and cooperation. They chose war instead." Nodded as she reviewed reports from across the empire. They thought mercy was weakness. They learned too late that human kindness comes with limits. The galaxy had learned its lesson well. Humanity might forgive, but they never forgot. And when they returned from the edge of extinction, they came back stronger than anyone had ever imagined possible.